If you do any kind of print on demand on Etsy, stop for the next 10 minutes. I'd like you to sit with me and I'm going to take you through in an Etsy store review of a POD seller, most of the mistakes that you guys are all making in your POD stores on Etsy. There are so many pitfalls and traps that you guys are falling into, and this Etsy store review is going to address all of them and help you make more sales. Let's get into it. So the first part of this review concerns shop setup, which so many of you POD sellers are getting wrong. So shop setup, have you completed the 5 components of your shop setup to appear more branded and more trustworthy to the customers on Etsy? There's 5 parts to this. It's not difficult. You should be able to do this in a day or two, yet I would say 90% of all POD stores that I work with in my consultancy get this completely wrong. Let's look at shop setup. So first of all, congratulations to our winner, Happy Egg Design, who is the winner of our review today. And we're dealing with shop setup first. So let's get the basics right. You've got to get the basics right to give people to trust, get people to trust and buy from you. So there's 5 parts to shop setup, and this is what you need to do. Here are each of the parts and what you need to do. Number 1 is your seller icon over here on the right hand side. Make sure that's filled in with either a picture of yourself, if that's what you want to do, or some form of branded content. Number 2 is your shop icon here. So this is a larger piece of branded content, and as he's got here is Happy Egg Design. That's great. It needs to be consistent. So what I like to see is your shop icon here and your seller icon here consistent with each other. I don't mind if you put a photo of yourself, it's not a problem. But for branding purposes, it's nice here to have both similar and working on brand. Number 3, so this is a bit that so many POD sellers get wrong. Literally, I would say 70-80% get wrong this bit here, shop announcement. So your shop announcement is where you tell the world what you sell. So here we don't want to waste time talking about discounts, talking about shipping and things like that. All the world's search engines read this to know what you sell. So make sure this here, your announcement, tells people clearly and concisely the world of products that you provide for people to buy. That's what needs to go here. That's number 3. Number 4 is right down the bottom, and that is policies. So shop policies. With print on demand, you want to try and accept Etsy's boilerplate policies. Okay, accept Etsy's policies if you can. Let's make it easy for your store. Let's not give Etsy any reason to check your store, look at your store, and also make sure that the customer experience is fluid, smooth, and you have happy customers. So if you can, accept Etsy's boilerplate policies here, which they've done, and that's no problem. And last of all, this is perhaps the most important piece of your shop setup, and this pretty much everybody that I work with and all stores that I review get wrong. So your about page has 3 brand elements: brand text, brand photos, and brand video. You need all 3. So you tell the story of your brand in text here, story of your brand in video here, but you also need photos, and the photos are missing. There's no photos in this about page at all. That's easier than video. So you're actually missing the easiest part probably to put in here, the photos. So make sure you add photos, and then your shop setup, the 5 components are complete. And this presents a trustworthy and more confident conundrum or opportunity for the customer to buy from you. Very, very important. So simple. Most sellers that I talk to don't get this bit right. So that is number 1, shop setup. Let's move on to number 2. Number 2 on this POD t-shirt Etsy store review is inventory. And again, most POD sellers, probably you, are getting this wrong. So POD by design, because you don't have t-shirt printing presses and the computers and staff to build and grow your t-shirt business yourself, that's taken care of by Printful or Printify or whoever it is that you're using. The temptation is, well, somebody else is doing all the work and making all this stuff for me. I'm just going to list loads of designs to give me a better chance of selling. And this is a huge, huge mistake. And most sellers that do POD that I work with are making this mistake catastrophically bad. So POD companies are complicit in this problem because they make it so easy for you to put your designs on t-shirts and hoodies and laptops and mugs, whatever it is that you want to sell. So you can get caught in this product drama, this product addiction of just listing products left, right and center because it's so easy, isn't it? You just put the design on, send it to your Etsy store, done, you know? But this process is horrendous for your Etsy store. So when you're doing POD and in this store that we're going to look at now, you have to list slowly and steadily and for a long time. So no listing in fits and starts, 5 listings here, 10 there. This is what everybody does. Even though people say, no, I don't do it. Pretty much everybody that I talk to and work with is guilty of this, and it will kill your store dead. Let's have a look at this store inventory and see what's going on. So let's have a look at the Happy Egg Design Shop inventory situation. Let's have a look at what's going on. So we've got 177 items in this store, and the store was opened this year. Okay, now you guys all know what I say when I talk about listings and how often you should list, and it's basically 1 listing per day. Okay, so 1 listing per day would mean that this store, if it opened on January the 1st and started listing on January the 1st, that would be about right. That would be about right. 177 items, 177 days. That's about right. But let's go and have a look at when the listing was first put in. Let's have a look at the listings dates of when they were listed. Let's have a look at this one here, the oldest listing. Let's go down to the bottom and have a look. So here you can see listed on the 5th of March. Okay, let's check another one. Let's check another one. It doesn't matter what the listings are for this, what type of listing. 6th of March. Check another one. Right next to it. 7th of March. You see how close these are in terms of timing to today's date. March, April, May, June, July. 4 months. You see? So this listing speed is way higher. Look, 7th of March again. Let's look at another one. Let's check another date. Let's see what's going on. 8th of March. Let's have another one. So you can see that the listing speed here, 8th of March. So that's 2 on the 8th of March. Let's see what the date is on this one. 9th of March. It looks like they're going for 2 listings a day, roughly. That would make a lot of sense. 9th of March. Let's just check one more. Let's have a look. 10th of March. It looks like a 2 a day. It looks like a 2 a day. So listing at 2 a day in a brand new store gets us to this number of inventory by July. So this is too quick. This is too quick. It's way too quick, and we can see here almost no sales at all. 4 sales off of 177 items. So what do you think Etsy is going to think when it looks at this store? It looks at the date that the store opened, 2023, listings started to go in March, and it's got 4 sales off of this volume of listings. There's no trust coming from this store that if Etsy shows this store, it's going to sell. Highly unlikely. Highly unlikely. There's no trust, very limited trust coming from this store out to Etsy. So this is a big problem. So one of the things the owner of this store has to do is slow down. Slow down this listing process and start to understand that we've got to find more winning listings. We need more winners. We can't work this store like this with 177 items and 4 sales. We've got to get this sales number up faster and this growth number up slower so that you start to convert more and Etsy starts to trust you more. I hope this is making sense to you all. So many of you sellers do POD, so this is exactly for you. It doesn't matter if it's t-shirts or something else. What I'm teaching you right now applies to all of you. So this is so important, this inventory management and understanding the relationship between sales and size of store. Let's get on to number 3 in this review, which is photography and video. Right, let's talk POD, photography and video. The pitfalls and potential areas for mistake in photography and video for POD are massive. There's so many ways you can fail with this. So when we look at this store's photography and video, we're also going to look at designs, and we're going to look at how the designs sit inside on the item and inside the photography. And I'll show you the do's and don'ts here for POD sellers. It doesn't matter what you sell, you've got to get this right and take time on your mock-ups for your POD photography and video. Let's get into it and check it out. Okay, so here we are again in Happy Egg Design, and now we're focusing on photography, video, and I'm going to talk about the designs themselves. So the vibe in this store is quotes, and it's to do with life, it's to do with feelings, emotions. These are all great sub-niches to focus on. Emotions, human emotions, brilliant, you know. But let's look at the photography here. Let's look at what's going on. If you look at this t-shirt here as an example, the whole mock-up here it needs so much work. Let me just zoom in. We've got what looks like sort of a Windows XP background. We've got the model, and then we've got the selling point of the t-shirt, which is integrity. It's the word, the meaning of integrity. But when you look at this image, when you look at the mock-up, this set of words here and the design does not look like it's attached to the t-shirt. It looks like there is a woman standing in front of a Photoshop background with text floating in front of the t-shirt. None of this image works together. None of this looks like it's supposed to be there and be joined together, because it isn't. Do you see that? This needs a lot of work, a lot of work. And when we look at the designs in general, it's a case of the designs being off to one side in the image. So we've got a design here that's over to the right. We've got this one over to the right. We've got this one here. Look at this design here. This love is forgiving. It's too far away. It's too far away from the camera, from the viewer's eyes when they're looking at products. Another case here of this listing. This one, love, life, live, love. It just doesn't look like the image should be on that t-shirt. The design is too big. It looks off center. This doesn't even look like it's in the middle. Your designs have to look like they belong in the image. Big designs, this is a tip for all you print-on-demand sellers. Large designs on apparel tend not to sell as well as smaller designs. These big in-your-face designs, they just don't sell as well. And if you're going to do it, you've got to get all the aspects of the message right, and it needs to look like it belongs in the image. So these are big issues for this seller in their store. There's all sorts of different things happening. There's no consistency. The photography is so varied, and we need to start getting consistency in these photos. Now, video is a part of this process. And as you guys know, you POD sellers know, I've been pushing for a while, you need to have video of your products in your listings. It's not enough now just to have basic POD photography and think that it's going to sell. It's not going to sell. In here, you need video. So for video, you need to use sites like Placeit that allow you to take video of your mock-ups, video mock-ups, and put them in your listings. Because at the moment, sellers that don't have video aren't going to convert as well, and there's no excuse now in 2023 for not having video in your listings. It's an absolute must for POD sellers. So do you see, there's quite a lot to get right here. The actual content of the products isn't bad. It's not bad. I like some of the designs are interesting, but the work needs to develop on designs and also the concept of how these images are put together so that it makes sense when a buyer is looking at the photography and video. So lots and lots of work to be done here. Designs, not bad. Keep pushing with your design work. you're going to start to get a few winners if you make sure that the actual product itself is photographed and videoed well. Okay, let's move on to the final part of this review today, which is price. Right then, on to price we go in this store. So let's first of all sort by price low to high, and let's get the spectrum of price. So let's have a look at the price, the lowest price, which is 33 euros, and then let's go up to the highest price, which is 40 euros. So you can see straight away, this is such a narrow price spectrum, 33 to 40 euros. That's the price, that's the range of possible prices people can buy from. And also this level of pricing is quite high. You can see here that they use Printify for their POD work, but these prices for the t-shirts are really high. And they should be lower. So I was talking about pricing things, getting different prices higher, which is great, and you should do that. But your overall pricing would need to be a lot keener than what I'm seeing here. So if I wanted to buy this t-shirt and I put it in my cart, let's have a look. I'll just choose, let's just say black, just choose whatever, medium, add to basket. Let's have a look. So it's costing me, let's go Cyprus because I live in Cyprus. So it's costing me 29 euros for the shirt, 7.50 for delivery, and 7.69 in tax. That's 45 euros for a t-shirt. So this is a huge, huge problem. Now, obviously, if you live in the United States, some of those costs will be lower. But this is still incredibly high for t-shirt designs. Now, as I said, you can have higher priced items, and you should do. You should offer different pricing to appeal to different pockets, as I explained. But this is a major barrier to your sales. The prices are simply too high. You're starting too high, and you're banding the area of occupancy of your prices low to high is too narrow. So you're going to need to do some work here on your pricing, because nobody's really going to buy t-shirts at this price, especially when we saw all the other problems that we've got in this store. So some serious work to do here on price. Make your price range wider, but also you've got to check your margins on these products, because they are far too high at the moment. So you can see, as a POD seller, and there's so many of you out there, especially t-shirt sellers, you can see from this review how easy it is to get so many things wrong in your Etsy stores. And the mistakes that I've outlined in this store review, most of you are committing. If you go and look at your stores, you'll find you're making the same problems. And I want to close this review by saying POD is so difficult. You know, the rest of YouTube is just telling you how easy it is. I'm one of the only ones out there saying, look, guys, just sit down a minute. This is hard work. You know, I talked earlier in this review about the fact that we no longer have to have printing presses and staff and computers to have a t-shirt business. That doesn't mean that the level of work has gone down. Of course it's not. What has been gained by not having to do the manufacturing has now been pushed into design. Because that's all you do. As a POD seller, you're a design machine. Your number one problem, your number one conundrum to solve is always design. So the workload hasn't gone down. It's not got any easier. In fact, it's probably got harder, because it's so easy to start a POD business, get going, and then think, oh no, I'm not making any sales, which is what most POD sellers encounter. Overwhelmingly, most POD sellers don't get to make it a full-time business, making money and doing all the wonderful figures that all these people on YouTube say that you can do. It's a tough business, and I chose this store today to show you guys how I look at POD stores and I identify some of the biggest problems that these stores have, and hopefully help you so you don't make these mistakes and you can make sales in your store. So get into my comments, let me know what you thought about this video. Did you enjoy it? Have you got questions? Ask me. Any POD related questions, put them in the comments as always. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video as always. Thank you.